Hello, friends. Come on in. Today is day 2 for Christmas in July, and we're making a Seaglass Christmas tree. Okay, I'm going to get started with showing you what you get in one of these containers. I just ran up to Michael's. This is my third one, and each one has been different. So I'm dumping this out. I want to give you guys an idea of what you get. You get the most white, and what I did was I went ahead and separated mine by colors. This way you kind of get a visual, because when it's in that container, it's really hard to tell what you're getting. And this is the literal first step you're going to need to take, is separating it by color if you want to do one kind of the way I did mine. So that's what we're working with. As you can see, we've got a whole lot of the white or clear, a decent amount of that, the least amount of the dark, and then these three, just like every bundle I've gotten so far, have had some kind of in the middle. So, that's what you get. So I thought that would be a good little visual for you guys to see. Thank you, Mary. Now, I'm going to add my other with it, and I'll show you the first step that you need to do is you want to get it by size. So large, and we do this quick. We're not going to spend a lot of time negotiating about it. We're just going to kind of pile it up into similar sizes, because as you go, you can say, oh no, that's in the wrong pile. That's too big, too small, whatever. But just quickly get it into like sizes. So for example, our smallest pieces, medium and large, kind of like that. You don't want to spend all day on this, but you do need to have it by size. That's one of the steps that you're going to need to do. I really don't spend too much time, but you do have to do this. Okay, so that's kind of our breakdown here. And of course, I've got more. That is all of that color. So we've got lots to work with. Now I'm going to use this number 6 cone. It's a 6-inch cone. If you do a really large tree, it will take you quite a while. And so since I'm not going to want to keep you guys that long, we're going to use the 6-inch, which is what this one in front of you is. I definitely recommend buying a good brand. This one, again, came from either Michael's or Amazon. I don't remember, but it is Florifoam. It's the brand that you've seen. Don't buy Dollar Tree for this, because it is not sturdy. It's made of really cheap styrofoam and it won't work. You're going to need your glue gun. Some people use other types of glue, E6000, but I don't like the warnings their glue has, and you need to use it outside if you're going to use it. So I am going with hot glue, and it worked great. And you're going to need a lot of glue sticks, probably 10 to 15. So if we're going to do an ombre tree, we're going to take like our darkest color, and you're looking for the bigger pieces. So that's why you separate them to begin with, is you want all your large pieces at the bottom. Now, things like this, I didn't use. This is too big. However, it'd be great for if you're doing a tree that goes like against the surface, because, why not? So those I will save. I might do another one at another time. This is about the largest piece I would use. Now, the only issue per se that you would have with a large piece is it's a little difficult to get in. So I'm going to show you what you can do to kind of help with that. And this is just my technique because I have tools on hand. But when I was trying to get this in here, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like really hard to get in. But you want to stick it in going at an angle. So let me hold it this way. This is how I wanted mine to stick out, kind of like that. So kind of like that. If you want yours more like this, or, you don't want it flush, but if you want it just decide on how much you want yours to stick out. That's the first thing. So you're going to push it back going that way. The second thing is how long, because if it's going to sit on a base, see how high that needs to be? It needs to be not that high, but about here and going in. So you kind of just have to do a little bit of thinking on your first row. So I'm going to say about right here, and I'm going to kind of push, maybe wiggle a little, and then kind of pushing up as I'm pushing back. And then let's put it down, and you want to see if it's good. Can y'all, it's hard for you to see, I know, but you know, I'm going to push a little further. Now, if I need help, I can take a tool and kind of, see, that's perfect. Just a little bit to kind of help it. Now that's going to be perfect. There you go. And then you've got your little hole. See if y'all can see that. And you've got your piece that fits in there, and you're going to take your hot glue. You're going to have a lot of glue sticks, and I put about 2 or 3 pumps. So 1, 2. Now this is a big piece, so I'm going to put a little more. I want mine super secure. And then I hold it. And just hold it for a second. It doesn't take long. And I didn't really feel any melting or anything. I know it's going to melt some in there. But I think because I put enough glue, it holds it really secure. And you can take this and pull on any of these pieces and they don't come out. I tested it because Okay, so there's your first step. That you got your first one in. That's the easy part. Now you just continue around. You can go either way. This will cover more ground if you have your pieces kind of wider at the bottom. And I varied mine just because, I don't know, I just did. I didn't really have one particular way. But if you wanted them all pointy, then you would just do that. But see, it covered more ground is why I started doing them this way. But some I would put the point. So I really didn't have I didn't feel strongly about that either way. Now, again, I'm just going to kind of go for it about the same place. And I am doing it this way because it does cover more ground. And I'm kind of just cheap that way. I'd rather, you know, cover more ground. Plus, I do think it looks good. So, put a few. For these larger pieces, I am putting, see, that was 5 little squirts. But this is mini glue sticks. And then just hold it for a second. Now here's a tip. If you take anything from this lesson, Gorilla glue sticks are so much better than Dollar Tree or whatever. So on a project like this, you would be very smart to go ahead and buy those. Again, now this one's shorter, so I don't go up nearly as high. I'm going to go about halfway maybe and kind of start and push back. And just kind of put it down. You can pull it back out. If you get it too far up there, pull it back out a little or straighten it. And then again, I'll go faster in just a second. I just want y'all to really get this. So watch me do a few, and then it goes a lot faster once you do this. The last thing you're going to do is your lights. So it's not going to be real pretty at this point yet. But just know you're going to have something pretty in the end. I'm angling a little bit up as I go in. I know that's going to be too thick. And I'm going to pull my other knife, you know, whatever you have. We've all got stuff. You could use a kitchen knife for that matter. Just to kind of get, sometimes it just helps to have something. I don't like to do very much with this, you know, because I don't want to go too far back. Perfect. Well, let's see. Yeah, it's pretty good. You're so sweet. I hope some of y'all will make one of these. I just think that everybody's going to love them. Picture it on a piano. Maybe you've got somebody that's elderly that really doesn't have room for a big tree. I always do ceramic trees too at Christmas. But this is just another alternative. Plus, it's super cheap and easy to do. Well, okay, let me back up. I can't say super cheap because you're buying the glass and, you know, but relatively, it's not like a ceramic tree. That one's good. That took up a lot of space. I really like having a nice big, you know, base. I think that the bottom layer is your first one is your most important one. Now this glue gun is small, so I'm having to kind of push my glue stick. That's what's kind of push my glue stick down in there. Hi Tricia, here watching. Thank you for sending me that thing, by the way. Okay, I like this one too. You know, you could push it in here, but see how short it is? I'd rather... I think that's good. Has anybody made one of these yet? And if so, did you do this technique? Oh, what was one? I already forgot which piece. Was it this one? Okay. I keep putting it down on that first layer because I want to be sure that none of them are so long that they, you know, drag the ground or anything. Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and come back in and put one right here because obviously it's a big spot that's kind of empty. So I think this pointy one would be really good. I'm going to try to get it pretty high up here, but under those two, like so. And push. I actually use my knife to push a little bit more. Okay. And that will take up all that space. Okay, so there's that first layer. We will go back and add, like I'm going to add one down here too, but let's just keep going. Before I add any above this, I'll show you, actually you have a better one, and I'll just kind of use that razor to kind of cut that glue. Okay, so now you can cut that little piece of glue off with no issues. We're still at a large piece, you know, so you're still looking for your larger pieces. And kind of think I want it that way. And I'm going to just kind of come in between and do the same thing on this row. I like them pretty close together. So I did buy a lot of glass, you know, but really one container about this size, 30 ounces, does one tree, I think. Okay, we don't have to worry so much now. We just can poke and go. Here's a thick one. You know, a lot of these larger ones are thick, but see, it's probably close to 1/4 of an inch. So it's a little bit tough to get it in, and that's why I pulled that little palette knife, because it will help me if I can't. Oh, see, that's what happens if you're not super careful, or if you push too hard too fast. But again, that's fine because it lets you see. I'm actually going to take that out and put it back in. It lets you see that it doesn't always, you know, go the way you want, but it will be fine. You just put this back in, and you can put another piece of glass up in there if you need to. See? I mean, really, nobody's going to know. I think that I can get this one in there really well. That's probably going to be perfect for this little spot. So, yep, that's perfect. So can y'all see how it's looking when I put it down? Now we have kind of an ugly spot here. Don't you worry, we'll get it covered. I'm going to poke this in here, but I'm not going to, I don't know if y'all can see that, I'm not going to really poke a hole because I won't need a whole lot of it to go in. I'm going to put glue on the end. So this is one of those little tips that you're getting since you're watching the middle of the video. somebody scrubs through, they won't hear this part. And then just place it in there and kind of push. Because it doesn't even need to go in that far, just 1/4 inch or so. And that's filled that spot perfect. So we're back in business. So that's too big, but I do want some, you know, try to match what these sizes are. And by putting it down occasionally, you can just kind of get a good look and see that it is looking even, or maybe start adding smaller sizes. You just kind of get a good feel for it. So here's where we're at with just about that much. I think that's good to start with the white. I'm just looking eye level to be sure it's all pretty even, and it is. I am using the Gorilla Glue sticks. They're just regular hot glue sticks and a regular high temp Surebonder. Occasionally you'll hear a little crackling in there, but for the most part I don't think it's really melting. You're not hearing a lot of it like sometimes it may be the quality of the foam. You got to be careful at this point too, because your cone is little up here, and if I'm pushing and pushing I might break my cone, so I'm going to just kind of be careful. See, that's exactly what you might do. You know, just it will kind of get away from you. Be sure we get some lights. It just doesn't want to go there. That's better. We'll make the best of it. I think it just bumped into the end of that one's what happened. So if you have that Spanish moss or something like that, you could put some, kind of just shove it down in there. I will take a little piece of glass. So I'll just take another small piece of glass and put down in there to take up that space. So just a drop of glue, and then this little piece that was in the bag. So instead of throwing it away, wait and see if you might need it. And then just kind of push it back in there and see. No one will ever notice, and it took up that space. You melted. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that this that's why I do buy this brand of foam. I think it's just really good quality and it can stand it, whereas the Dollar Tree stuff can't. This was one of the holes that I dug too heavy, and so see how it's a little wobbly? It's got to be reinforced, so I'm going to put more glue right up in there, and a little tiny piece of glass, pretty small, and just give that a little reinforcement. And pushing that little small piece up in there. Now, if I see a space and I notice it, sometimes I've been talking and haven't probably noticed them all, but I'll put one kind of right in the middle. And once we're getting up to the top, I'm going to be a little picky. And you do have to kind of go slow. You don't want to push it like I do. Sometimes I push so hard that it makes a chunk missing. Right to the top. Ooh, that went in perfect. Angled just perfectly. Okay, so now we'll just add a few pieces. So it's probably a little hard for y'all to tell, but when I hold it, you know, when I have it straight down and I'm looking at it, if there's a part that particularly sticks out to me, that's where I'm going to put a little, you know, little something. I'm just going to put a dot here and then push this in. And hold it so that it stays exactly where I have it. So again, I'm just kind of looking for the spots and then put a little glue on the end and then just push it into that spot. So you're not having to like dig a hole. I'm just pushing it down in just slightly. We have pretty good coverage, you guys. I know that, you know, if you really look at it, you're going to see the green, obviously. But when you have it down and you're just looking at it from across the room, no one will notice. Yeah, I think this is good. I think, you know, we could get nitpicky and keep putting little pieces in, but I think that's good. Now, let me show you options for the topper too, and for the base. Here's our lights we're fixing to put on. I don't recommend this exact set of lights, but it's what I have and I'm going to use it. I have the right kind, but I can't find them. So this is what I'm having to use. So in a case where I'm having to use a big thing with a battery pack, because they do make them, y'all have seen them, that are very small little battery pack, and some might even be like a round. That would be ideal. But if I'm going to have to use this, then what I'm going to do is look for something to cover it. So here's what I found. This is a little cute sign that I picked up at Dollar Tree probably 2 or 3 years ago. I've never done anything with it. I thought I would be adding paint and glass, and I never did. So we're going to take this off because you want it to sit flush. This is just one option. I'm going to show you another one. Obviously, you would take this off. You would paint it whatever color you want. And then what I would do is drill a hole, you know, so that this could go through, and I would feed it through. But I'm not really going to use this long term. And then you wrap your lights around. The other option, which I love, is look around your house and see what you have that's about the right size. So this was just slightly too big, but this would be so pretty. And I just think this would be ideal. So I would like to get a new light set, obviously that's small, like I'm talking about, and put that little, you know, battery pack underneath here, and then it will just feed through, you know, and then we can wrap our tree with it. That's what I'm going to do, I think, is use this. This is for a jar, and I use the jar, but I don't want the lid on the jar because it's got stuff sticking out of it. In fact, I always use, here's one in pink that I've got all these in. I just like to surround myself with glass because I love glass. So that's probably what I will do. But anyway, so then you've got a really pretty little glass base for your glass tree. And I'm going to start at the top and kind of just work them in there. So we'll come a little farther in between these. Okay, then if you can kind of end that on the back would be ideal. Just tuck that up in there. But I'm not going to use these. This is just not the battery pack for me. And for the topper, I like these little starfish things. That's kind of the last step, is to glue that on. And I am going to use this, but let me show you this came from one of my ceramic trees, and I ordered extra light. They sent me the lights and another topper. Well, I didn't need the topper, so I've got this. So you can, I could stick that right down the center and use that, which would be pretty. You can go to Michael's or Hobby Lobby or Walmart at Christmas time, and they've got mini ornaments. You know what I'm talking about? For the little mini trees. And they have all kinds of stars and things you could put on the top. So think about places like that, or even the little mini ornaments. They have an angel, different things. So there's a lot of things you could think about. You can make your own star. You can make a star out of metal and use that. But I'm going to put on our little topper, and then I want to show you how I filled the top part. So you just kind of see where it fits and will sit. I know that's weird because you're seeing the top of it, but let me turn it and show you. So it fits perfectly right here. Like if I turned him, his foot was messing with that, but you can just find a place where it seems to fit perfect. Be sure he's level and straight. There's room on the front and the back, and then we're just going to hot glue him down. That's all you have to do. So I'm going to kind of press him in a little bit. So I see there's one leg, and here's the other leg. And then put that down quickly and just hold it a second so that it stays very straight, but we're going to make it more secure. Now, just to make sure it's good and secure, and I'm letting go so it is on there and everything, but I'll come and put just a little bit right here at that little intersection. I don't want too much because I don't want it to look really heavily glued. And that one did kind of squeeze through, but I'll put a little bit more. I did think, that little sea moss, I think that would be cute to have some up here. But I didn't need it because I used glass. I put a lot of little pieces of glass up here, which number one looks good, but number two gives it a little more stability too. So, find more of your small pieces of glass and just glue those on. So I'm going to put it kind of right up next to that leg. And I'm angling it down and just holding it close to the leg. I don't know if y'all can see that. I'm just holding it there till it dries. I think that one will be good there. So I'm just laying it down and kind of at an angle, kind of pressing it in and right against that starfish. And then one in the center maybe. That's a little too long. But you just want it to look like you meant it to be that way, not like we're trying to get more secure or anything. That's going to be perfect there, okay? And I don't know if y'all are noticing, I don't know if you can hear it, but there is no melting. So I'm putting this hot glue here, and it is not melting the styrofoam. Even though it's hot glue, not a low temp, it's a high temp, it's still not melting it. So that's why I like these foams. Okay, so that is perfect right there. Then do the same thing on the front. I really found that by kind of holding it that, extra 10 seconds, it really does. It just allows all that glue to kind of dry and hold all the pieces perfectly. So see, it just kind of finishes it. Okay, y'all ready? So here it is without light, without the lights turned on. That is so pretty. I love it. What do y'all think? Oh, the lights just definitely make it. I'm going to actually just go ahead and find some more for this one too. Oh, I love it. Thank y'all for staying with me. I appreciate y'all so much. Bye-bye.